website automatically either. That's broken, but I could post it somewhere if somebody wanted it. And I've been working on this story that has to do with adding a mail address for a company. And long story short, but I want to talk about this in the parking lot. I went ahead and made multiple addresses available for a company because it didn't make sense to just do the mailing address only against a single address for a company. So I wanted to show you guys that because I think I can put a PR together, if not today, by tomorrow. And I think it'll be helpful to have seen it when you start to read it. And some things came out of this story that I want to talk about with you guys, see what you think. I think there'll be some other stories spawned as a result.
Excellent.
So that's it for me.
Should I edit I can edit the agenda? I didn't know if you'd already started to do that, Patrick. I didn't want to step on you, but I can.
I created it. The skeleton, the usual agenda.
Great.
Should be that. But if any notes to be taken, it'd be great if you could.
Will do.
Okay, who's next? Anybody?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Go.
I haven't done much these days. I've been working on the membership numbers, doing all kinds of stuff to them. And I think I would like to talk about the format of the number later as a parking lot item. And that's it. No blockers. I did some review of I only started the review of yours, Ashley, because it's quite big. Yeah.
Yep. Ashley, why don't you go
ahead? So I, worked on the mailing stuff, figured out why I couldn't get it to pass all the tests. Finally, and then clean it up so it does a slightly cleaner PR. I found a few small bugs and issues that I'll bring up. Parking lot, pagination, the session which stores the number of items to show, not quite working consistently. Found a parameter not permitted thing, something with Matthew's PR, and then Robert, you already commented, and it'd be great to talk about the database cleaner and using before all in RSpec test. So busy, but good. Finally, I think a good point with that.
Cool. And last but not least,
me.
Yeah.
I did the production so-called errors.
Oh, good. Good.
I think those things happen when we deploy, so we have to look out for that next time.
Yeah, hopefully we don't reproduce it. Okay. Cool. Well, who wants to go first in the parking lot?
Well, mine is short and sweet. So
let's do yours.
About the membership number, we're going to sort them in the near future, within a few days. But they are strings as a number. Is it possible to just have some sort of format to them, like leading zeros or
feel free?
Feel free, yeah. Do you need anything like SHF in front of it? Or
no.
Something like that? No.
Try to move away from SHF.
Okay, something else, or just a number is enough?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
I'm just curious, why does it have to be a string? Can it be a number?
Yeah, it can be a number.
Okay. It has been a string all this time, and
just to complicate things.
Yeah. No, not.
I think
I would like to keep it a string, but
okay.
Sorry, Ashley.
I think we did it as a string just because we didn't know exactly what the constraints might or might not be. So that was.
I think that's still valid.
There are no
Well,
business constraints.
You can, yeah. Perhaps in the future you want to change it and into something more stringy.
Yeah, really, who cares, right? It's just like a license plate on a car. It could be letters and numbers. But it's just when you brought up sorting, it occurred to me
Yeah.
Yeah, then it would be nice.
that's not a compelling use case.
I think for me and for the organization, it is a number, and will probably always be a number. But you never know.
But sometimes, what I sometimes do with those kind of numbers is prefixing it with the year, and then a point, and then a few numbers after it, so you can see when it's issued. For example, things like that. But just a number is okay with me too.
I think that would only be interesting for like internal reasons.
But still,
Okay. Sounds like a string. It should be. It should stay, huh?
But the year somebody became member, at least from now on, is in the system because of the logging of when they were approved.
yeah. But now you have a membership list and you see the membership number, and then you can see immediately, oh, this is an old member, this is a new member.
But you can do that also with the number. If they're number 40, then they're a really old member.
Well, 40 is old, but you don't know the difference between 40 and 80.
True.
Okay, but I don't want to, it's okay, but I'll leave it at the number and try to fix the sorting. Yeah.
Just as an aside, that'll bore you to tears. I used to work in factory automation, and I found that manufacturers who, they have a serial number or a code or something on every product that they ship, so they can trace it back, and for recalls, etc. And every manufacturer tried to build in intelligence in the number, so you could look at that code or that serial number and defer something, like data manufacturing or something. Everyone ended up regretting trying to put information in intelligence. And they said, just make it a number and make everything in the database that you need to know about that. So
yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah, my experience is different, but that's perhaps that depends on what kind of domain you are.
Yeah.
I worked a lot in project administration, and it's almost indispensable to have something like the year in it. But okay.
Yep. Different domain, huh?
Yeah.
So why don't I do my thing? Yep, I see Ashley saying yes. So go with that. And so what this is we've refactored the address to allow for multiple addresses. Address is now a full-fledged model with its own controller as well. I'm actually doing nested resources, so addresses within company. And the routes, you'll see those. And eventually we'll probably have addresses within member, that kind of thing. But right now it's just company. And so, let's see, let me keep my, is there anything else I want to talk about before I show you something here?
I saw your comment on Slack and what Susanna.
Yep.
I don't know when you want.
Well, I kind of answered it as I was writing my question. It occurred to me that's why. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to come back to this list because this is my kind of to-do list of topics for this thing. But let me go and show you what it looks like. So I think I've been mucking around with company number 2 here. And it's got 4 addresses now. And all of them is marked as visible. Can you guys see that okay?
If you can. Yeah, that's
A
okay.
bit bigger?
No, that's okay. I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
Do it on my side.
So now we have 4 addresses. All of these are fake except this one I entered right before, which I got from, by the way, do you guys know about this? Probably Susanna does. This website here? I think it might, is this the Postal Service for Sweden here?
No.
Susanna?
Interesting site.
Yeah, postnumberservice.se. You can go in and you can query. You have to enter enough locality so it finds more than 1 million addresses. But if I went in there and I added just this town,
Yeah.
which I found in this particular county, And sure enough, so I got a bunch of addresses. I just took the first one. Anyway, if that's not on the wiki site, I will add it because it's a really useful thing. So this is a real address here. So if I look at that, that's a real address. And you can see, as you guys know, we only show markers on the map specific to how specific we can be with geocoding. So if we have street, software will try to geocode at the street level, and if we can't do that, because everything has to line up, has to be street, postal code has to contain that street, city has to contain that postal code, etc. Since these are all fake, she has to crawl up the specificity tree, if you will, till she gets to the point where she can geocode it. So this guy here is geocoded only at municipality or AL municipality or commune.
Ale.
By the way, by the way, I'm keeping Sweden in the address because I just get that by default with the way we're doing. I'd like to ship this with Sweden in there, but you guys may come back, Suzanne, and say everybody's sick of looking at Sweden because everything's Swedish. You remove that, we could. So anyway, so I've got addresses here. I can click here to add an address, and then I go here, and this is the form for address. When you actually edit the company itself by this, you just go and see these specific fields, because this is the company description.
That's nice.
And addresses don't necessarily have to be part of the company. They shouldn't be, actually. We have a mailing address. Business rule is only one address can be mailing. So I click on that. And there's a bit of a lag here, because what happens is the controller removes the mail attribute from this address, adds it to this address, and it has to do that in sequence because I have a controller model validation that says you can only have one mail address within the scope of a company. This is also, because it's done through Ajax, I was a little worried that there'd be a sequencing issue, but as long as the controller requests are queued up and handled sequentially, we're okay. So you can try to game it and confuse it by doing, this kind of nonsense and all of that.
They look like checkboxes, but they're not, or are they?
They are. They're just.
They are.
The radio buttons.
Yeah, radio.
I have a problem there because I was able to. Okay, I got a bug there. I have two now.
But they are radio buttons, not checkboxes.
Well, they should be radio buttons. That's the right.
No, they're checkboxes.
So why, Patrick, are they checkboxes, not radio buttons?
Because radio buttons you can only click one of, and checkboxes you should be able to click more than one of.
Well, you can only click one. So
they should be radio buttons.
They are checkboxes because I chose to do checkboxes.
Okay.
I don't think that radio boxes would work.
Probably won't work directly from Rails. No.
So.
Why not?
But as another question, shouldn't this be done in JavaScript and then checked for an extra check in the controller when it's submitted?
Yeah, so in the controller, what we're doing here when this is clicked is we're undoing this one as the mail address and adding this as the mail address. That's all done in the controller. Mm-hmm. And there's the JavaScript callback function just goes and says, I need to uncheck this box here. That's what happens. Yeah. So could it have been radio boxes? I don't know. I'd have to look at that. It was straightforward to do with checkboxes.
From a user perspective, I think it would make most sense.
Yes.
I have a question also. Mm-hmm. When you're not logged in as admin or as this company, what do you see?
What you will see is, let's look at that. So that's two, oops. Okay, I got a bug there too, it looks like. Oh, I fixed that bug. I did fix that bug.
But will all the addresses be visible?
Hmm?
Would all the addresses be visible?
No, let's bear with me here real quickly. Let's see. back in place.
You forgot one.
Which one was that?
At the end of the line.
Yes, thank you. Drives and I do.
That's
Okay.
good. We haven't done pair programming. Quadruped pair programming.
So you just see the addresses. These are all marked as visible, if you noticed.
Nice.
And so you just see the address. You don't see any other controls here. So let me go back
Okay,
to,
so you can change an address to be invisible.
yeah, that's what I was going to do right now, in fact. Good
Okay,
question.
cool.
Yep. Let me go back to this. Let me get this so I see I hate that pulled that hamburger menu. I always want to have this menu up here for some reason. Your mileage may differ. Okay, so let's go look at this guy. And let's take this real address here. And let's, first of all, I want to make that my mailing address because that's my home. I've got a problem. No, it went away. Okay. And I'm going to make it invisible.
No.
By the way, while I'm here, you notice that I've added, well, I'll get back to that. Back to it. So now this guy disappears from up here. He's still visible here because I'm the admin or I'm a member of this company. But if I logged out and went back in as a visitor, I would only see these addresses. Now, the map up here, the design intent has always been, as I'm administering my company, the map shows me what a visitor is going to see.
Yeah.
So even though I can see this, it doesn't show me on the map because I want to see what a visitor would see. So that kind of thing.
Super.
So I will look into whether radio boxes would make more sense here. Not sure about that, but I will look at that. It might be easier. And the other thing I just want to mention, so a couple things. One is to add an address. I thought about putting a little box here, a little tiny thing, add address or something. But I thought I would just go with this motif here with some options at the bottom. So I'd add an address. And I made it a different color to kind of note that it's address as opposed to company stuff. And of course, red means danger. And the other thing is, if I want to delete an address, I have to edit it, and then I have to click on this button here, which I thought was reasonable. I thought about adding on each table row a little delete button, but there were some issues, I think, with user experience that I don't like about that unless we do everything with JavaScript on this page. I don't like to paint an entire page when you take an action on that page. I'd rather do JavaScripty stuff. So anyway,
good.
So I had to do a few minor changes to two company helper methods to get the addresses to show up automatically on the map, actually, and that was it. So that worked out really well. So anyway, this is still a work in progress. Got some issues here, and I'll look into RadioBox. To tell you the truth, I don't even think I thought about that too much. I also have, let's see, if I go to here, this is, let's see. Let me just go to one of these guys. So this guy, I'm going to delete. And I go back, and I have this empty table here. But because I'm the administrator, that's okay. But as a visitor, if I go look at a company that does not have an address, I'm going to see this. I'm going to see address here, not the click to edit or the rest of this, with this bar. And so I think I might remove that so they don't even see this header, this table header, because it might be confusing. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would vote for that because otherwise they'd think, shouldn't I be seeing something under this header? Is something not is something broken? Something going on with mine? So I would vote for, yeah. If you're not going to show information in that table to a visitor.
Yep. Okay. Good. That's my inclination as well. All right. And then,
I just have a minor comment, and I could put this in the PR comments too. When you're editing an address, the buttons down there, one of them said something like view company. So I'm just not sure if the label's on the address. Yeah.
Go back.
Editing
address?
Yeah. See how the buttons at the bottom, view company, list all companies? I bet that's just a copy and paste thing, but you just need to update the labels used for those buttons.
No, that's actually isn't it. I don't have I do not have an address index view for within the scope of any particular company, nor all companies. There's no reason to.
Then I would just get rid of the list all companies button there. I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's reasonable to go back to the company, but.
Yep, got it. Okay, good idea. That'll remove some clutter then. You're right. Okay, good. So I think this actually looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think the members may appreciate that. I don't know how many members have companies with more than one location.
Quite a few. I've noticed by the bouncing postal mail.
Okay, great. And I do think that being able to say this is my mail address, but don't show it to a visitor because that's my home address, whatever. So just real quickly, let me go over some other items here. So this is a longer. So I'm not gonna refactor main address. That's a instance method in company that returns the first address or nil if there's no address for a company. It's used in these places, and we have to look at each of these one by one. So it's a bigger effort than just removing it. So the company model, there's a members export thing that calls main address, and right now it's just going to produce the first address in the export. The business categories has a show view that invokes main address. I'm not sure exactly what it's doing there, but I guess it's trying to show an address for companies that provide that category of service, I suppose. Do we need to do anything with that? I don't know. Companies list partial, which is basically the search results or the index view of companies, calls main address as well. And that gives rise to a question, do we need to do anything within our search to accommodate multiple addresses for a company so that we can find it either way by searching on either region that they have an address in, type of thing. That has to be looked at. So what I'm going to do, my intent here is to put a story together that basically allows us to discuss these items and figure out as a team how we want to approach them. So right now, main address will stay in place, though nothing breaks. But it is not consistent with multiple addresses unless we review these. Let's see, add list of members. Okay, the other thing I was thinking about, so because I had address here before in the show view, moved down here, obviously, so we got a big yawning gap here. I thought it'd be nice to have a list of members of this company listed here with a click where you can maybe bring up a mail. Okay, because we know some companies have more than one member.
Yeah.
And it'd be useful. I can't think of anything else more useful to stick in that white spot.
Can you scroll up just a wee bit? We show the, we show the business cap.
Yeah, the class cap. We have that.
Good.
And at this point, rather than march right ahead with a billing address, I want to hold off because it occurs to me that since Bella says she's not going to use the old way of billing, not that they used the billing address anyway, it sounds like you guys used email or use email.
But you have to have a billing address if you send an invoice to somebody. So we use the billing address for the invoices.
I thought, okay. So you actually do invoice people for the membership fees?
Yes, and they pay via bank transfer.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know that. So that makes sense. Now here's the thing, if Bella says she doesn't want to do that anymore, she doesn't want to send invoices, we're going to be using HIPS for that.
Yeah.
It could be that it doesn't make sense to have billing address for a member any place other than in HIPS. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to do a spike and play with HIPS a little bit and figure out how this works. First of all, I want to do a spike on the, anyway. And it could be that if we capture billing address here, and we can transfer that to HIPS and say, here, use this as the billing address if the person wants to be invoiced, that's okay. Then we'll probably do billing address on the SHF side. But if that's all cumbersome and not worth doing, maybe we don't need billing address on the SHF side.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Okay, good. All right. Anything else on this before I turn it over?
On the seeds, I saw there was a seeds question too on your list.
That was just if that's a nice to have if I wanted to, what was that? So right now, we don't have any companies
that
created with multiple addresses, so that would be nice to have.
on the seeds should be the mailing address.
Good question. So,
Because it's only used to print etiquettes for envelopes.
so what happens now when we do the migration from the old address scheme to the new address scheme, Susanna, is we convert the single company address to a regular location address. It's not marked as a mail address.
Yeah.
Which seemed kind of presumptive of us to say, well, this is your mailing address, right? So it could be that once we roll this out, this communication to the members saying, hey, check this out. You have the ability to mark yourself as a mailing address. And if you want that only to be mailing, don't make it visible to a visitor, yada, yada, that kind of thing. But yeah, in Seeds, I want to, maybe another story, create multiple addresses from companies so I don't have to do this by hand. And we'd have at least, we'd have a mail address, one of those would be.
Before, when you're talking about Seeds, Susanna, don't you mean the CSV?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so there's a difference.
It was a brain mix-up. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I do have Seeds listed on my to-do list. So anyway, all right, with that, move on.
Okay, I'm just trying to type up some notes. So,
yeah, I hope you captured those comments there, Ashley, because those are good.
So. Okay, so I just saved the page to that wiki, and you can look at that. So as I talk, maybe somebody else can take notes. Either put them in the wiki now or later. So let's see. I'm just looking at my list of things that came up. So I noticed a couple minor bugs as I was going through and doing my revision. So, and Patrick, I refactored some of those mailing classes.
Oh, good. Yeah,
so,
great.
in looking at my PR, the new PR that I submitted, the views didn't really change. I mean, not the content of them, same. I cleaned up the mailing classes a little bit. So maybe starting there, looking at those mailing classes, seeing if that makes sense. And then any thoughts about the RSpec tests? I want to make sure that there's really not a lot to them because I don't need to retest what the mailing, the mailer gems do or Mailgun does. I just need to check what our mailer functionality adds on top. So those are the two areas that would be great to look at.
Is the Devise thing working? I'm sorry, is the Devise email working now with all the embellishments?
Right. So I split those up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
So look at that and see what you think. Feedback would be great. I want to bring up the database cleaning stuff last, Robert. So let me bring up the other short things.
Yeah, that's okay with me, but I have to leave in about 5 minutes.
Okay, well then we'll bring it up.
We can do it another time. It's
well, let's just talk about it shortly. So I noticed that I was getting some intermittent fails when I was running my tests, and it was because some data is set up in RSpec in before all blocks, and that's probably me doing it mostly. That's just my reflexive into having to refactor, pull common stuff out, so I'm not redoing things for every single test. But when you set data up in a before all block in RSpec, it's not in a database transaction. So it doesn't get rolled back between tests, between example groups, describe blocks and such. So the state isn't actually cleaned up. So one way to handle that is to put code in with database cleaner, which is what my approach, and handle that. Another approach that Robert pointed out is don't set up data in before blocks. Keep the tests more discrete and say it's okay to have repetition in setup in your code.
Actually, that's not what I meant.
Okay.
The only thing I meant is, of course, you would like to get it out to refactor it, but not in a before all, but in a before each. So that's what it's meant to do. Because then, if you do it in a before all the tests are dependent on each other. Which means that if I see a before all, I have to check all the tests. Mostly it's okay, of course, but if something happens to the data in one of the tests, the other tests are influenced. So you never know what's exactly what is tested. So the before each is as refactored as before all. It's only a performance issue.
Okay.
So it's not that I didn't mean that you have to put it back in the individual tests, but you can use a before each instead of a before all.
Right. Yeah, that's fine with me. Any other thoughts, Susanna, Patrick?
No, I agree with Robert and you. Your before all is kind of scary.
Didn't mean to scare anybody. Safe environment.
Do not try this at home.
That's right. Okay, so we can just make that kind of a project standard. Use before each, not before alls, and so I'll take that out. Good.
Great. So I can leave with a still heart.
That's right. You won. You can leave with a victory.
Okay, I have to go and run. So have a nice meeting, and I'll see you Thursday.
Great.
All right. Sounds good, Robert.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Doing something. So the other little things I have, maybe I'll share this part of my screen.
Please.
Okay, so here are my notes. See that?
Let's see. Yeah.
I could make it bigger if you wanted. But so we talked about this. I had a little question. Robert now has, in the database, we have a structure.sql file. And that's because we're using Postgres specific things. And I'll just ask on Slack. I wasn't quite sure about merging and updating that. But I can ask on Slack. It's not a big deal. I found 3 other little kind of bugs. One was in user search. I found that a path wasn't being found and a message was coming up in the standard output, that is in the screen, there's a message. But an exception was not actually being caught and thrown. And that was Matthew's code, so I just wanted to bring that up. I can submit a bug and also put it in the fix.
So our spec produced that quote there. A step was called with path equals.
Yeah, it's actually in the. Let me see if I can get to it. It's actually not in our spec. This is a Cucumber step.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I actually get that. So the way Matthew had it, he had a raise exception here, I think, but it wasn't actually being raised, and it just has to do with how Cucumber works with all of these. So putting in, instead of raising an error here, putting in an expect test, which will explicitly fail,
Mm-hmm.
well, makes it show up. Makes it real obvious. So I'll go ahead and submit that as a PR and we can review it. Also going through, I did find a place where under a membership application, and the nested attribute, the user ID, I've seen a parameter not permitted message showing up in the log. So it doesn't affect functionality, but that parameter should be permitted. So I'll submit that. Thing. And then this issue I've seen come up off and on, and I've just kind of blown it off because I just figured it was weirdness with how I have my machine configured, but I actually looked at it. And what's happening is handling the pagination, how many items you show, you know, that show 10, show 20, show all. And Patrick, I think you're intimately familiar with this.
Right.
Part of how that is stored is in a session. And when I run tests, I think it has to do with Ruby. You know, sometimes I'm running things in RubyMine, and sometimes I'm running them just from the command line and my browser caching. At any rate, that session isn't always being reset fast enough. And so one of the tests expects that all companies are shown on a page. But if I had just run it and things got set such that only 10 companies should be shown, that test will fail. Then if I wait or switch something, then that test will pass. So I don't know how much of this is.
Do you have to just run them? If we just run the test in the order in which, if you just run Cucumber all the tests,
yeah.
Do you ever see a failure there?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's intermittent. And so I finally at least tracked down so I understand where the code is. So I'll put something in there. I'll put something in our pivotal tracker. And like I said, I don't know how much of this is because of how I run things and set them up, and how much is truly a bug. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that before. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I thought RSpec and Cucumber were doing a pretty decent job of clearing out sessions. We can even run multiple browsers at the same time.
Well, yeah, so that's why I wondered, does it have to do with just my develop environment? If I'm running things from within RubyMine, and then I run things from the command or something, I haven't tracked that down quite enough to see it because it's so intermittent.
I mean, if you could come up with a way to reproduce that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, regularly, you know. Yeah,
right.
I know that's the challenge, right, with these things.
Right. So I wanted to bring that up in case.
And it's only a testing phenomenon, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've never seen it. For example, it's never failed in our continuous integration, and you know, when we submit everything. So.
Or production or development.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So those are the things I noticed, kind of, yeah, as working through the mailing stuff. And I could copy and paste this into the notes, just as reminders. If
Well, you're going to create stories for each of these, or?
Yeah, I will. I guess that's really what I need to do. So.
Yeah, I didn't know about this structure.sql file as well. I did see it's a monster. But,
yes. So
yeah.
I noticed that was new, and so yeah, I had to go read on and find out, well, what is this? Where did it come from? And that's because we're doing the sequence, which is the Postgres specific. And so I just didn't know what the
I guess, does it need to be there? It sounds like it might, but do we need to put it in Git, or?
Right, that's what I don't know. So we can talk about that. Are you guys getting an echo? I'm hearing an echo when I talk.
No, I'm not. I don't hear an echo.
Just me. All right, so.
Okay, great. Let's see now. So I guess we should go and look at stories and stuff, huh?
Yeah, so you can end my presenting to everyone if you'd like, Patrick.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Come on, hit that button.
Go back to editing the wiki page.
Okay, I did make a change or two to the wiki page. So
Great.
you may want to refresh. Let's see, done, under review. Still outstanding. I didn't reach out to Rob. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I didn't reach out to Raphael on this one. I think we'll just go ahead and I'll just go ahead and look at it. See if there's anything we want to salvage from that. Email ammo new application received. Isn't that kind of a subset? Well, that one we've already decided we're going to do. Was that part of? Is that in your PR? Did you implement that in your PR? Or you
I
implemented the
so,
email, but you don't.
Yeah, the foundation for that and the email is created, but I'm not actually sending it.
You're not sending it
into the correct actions yet.
Okay.
But hopefully all that will be really easy now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Capistrano. Anything on there, Ashley? We should talk about any update?
No, no. I was working on the mailing stuff.
Add search to users. We're okay with having merged this story. Is that correct?
Oh,
we don't need to revoke it, do we?
Correct. I can just
Give
put the little thing as a separate PR.
Separate story.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I may have jumped the gun in merging that. I just saw the reviews were good and everything was passing, so that was probably my bad there.
Well, I was done with it. I didn't notice any test glitch regarding a missing path, but anyway, that's good to fix. So I guess that's definitely visible to the client. That's Robert's thing. He was going to be looking at that. Like I said, I'm going to start looking at a spike for this.
So, but if this is, can you open that up so we can see that? Is that just
this is just deciding? I think we ought to keep this open then, right? Because if we decide that HIPS falls apart once we start to interact with them, which they won't, but if they do, so the decision is still pending.
Susanna, I think you can really make the call. My opinion is, no, we're going to go with them, and if something falls apart, then we'll revisit it.
Yeah, that's a new story.
Then
right.
We can, finish it up, right?
That would be my thought. What do you think, Susanna?
Yeah.
Done.
Okay.
Let's see. Where are we now?
Membership numbers?
Okay, we got to make some PR reviewing use of, okay, Robert, Jared, membership numbers.
Whoa, wait, you're going too fast. Can you go back up? Because,
So this is, Robert's looking at this one, right?
Yeah, but yeah, 357.
Yep, so 357. Is that, that's still outstanding? What was it?
Yeah, no, see that? I think I just merged.
You just merged it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We're good on that one then.
Let's get our velocity.
And don't get me going. Okay, so that's client facing. So I guess we'll do that. Big time, big leap. Okay, so this is the one I'm working on right now. No, actually, didn't I?
Well, that's
No,
kind of
that's been merged. That's been merged, right? Yeah, here it is. It's been merged. So that's part of the epic, but not what I'm working on right now. Okay, so I hate the fact that it loses my place every time I do that.
Well, yeah.
So this is what I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
And I gave it a 3 because it actually is fairly big. I hope your thing is a 3, right, Ashley?
Yeah, mine wasn't, but it should be. So I would like to,
Everybody okay with us just bumping it up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. It's at least a 3, right? So, okay, good. Display member number and membership views. Robert says he's taking that, I think. Yeah, he's got it. Database cleaner, so that's been discussed.
Right, so let's just delete that one because we're not going to do that.
Okay.
Right.
You'd have to go back from before all to before each or anything like that in association with this?
Oh, before each has been in there. This
Oh,
just
I see.
stuff, so yeah.
I see. Okay. Yep. Hit the mail address and pages remiss should go to a contest list for help. Oh, these two are done, right, Susanna? Do we need to?
I think so, unless I understood something incorrectly.
So I think I had didn't I have a screenshot in here? Guess I didn't. Oh, okay. So this says it should go to a list of members, as it does. I'm not sure what that means. So this is a link.
This is my answer.
Oh, okay. So that's good.
I don't understand where else it would go.
Yeah.
You're the only one who understands that.
Susanna, yeah. So should we look at it online, confirm?
Because it says on the task it should go to a contact list, and it does go to a contact list of all our members.
I remember that was set up long ago, and I think when you and I were reviewing things, Susanna, you noticed it, and so I put it in as we were talking. And so yeah, it's probably been taken care of as all of that was fixed up.
No, that's the same as it's always been. I haven't changed that one. I only made the H capitalized and added the arrow.
Well, then maybe if that's
this is
old,
right?
Yeah.
So when I click on that, I go to what the company.
Because you should find a colleague, and your colleagues are in the system there.
So what is that? What does HITA translate
to?
Find.
So this is companies, right? So they can look at other companies and see their colleagues through that mechanism, right? That's the intent? Okay.
Yeah.
Should it go to other members, other people? I guess that's the same. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's the same.
Good.
Yeah, and we don't really have other than users, we don't really have a members index view. Maybe at some point we will, but right now we don't.
Right.
Okay, so do we need to show that to the client, which is Susanna and Susanna? Susanna already did it, so just accept it? Or do you want to show that to Bella as well, Susanna?
No, I don't think she knows it is even there.
Got it. All right. Less she has to worry about, the better, I guess. Production member page business.
I think these things happen when we deploy.
So when you say they happen when we deploy,
because this page I have edited, corrected, I don't know, 10 times.
So
Really?
so then it is the issue when we deploy. Don't overwrite those files unless something. I mean, is that really what we need to do so that we don't keep clobbering them when we deploy?
We definitely need to do that. We shouldn't clobber.
I don't know why they would be overwritten.
Okay, so
if local changes are made to this on the production server and we overwrite that, that's really awful.
Yes.
So yeah, we should test that.
The links to the images are swapped, so the logo is on the bottom image.
Yes.
So
it's weird.
You already looked at that, so that's.
But it happens and it keeps happening. So I do think it has to do with the deploy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm entering something in PT right now.
Maybe we can deploy some stuff today and just check that out.
It was my question.
Okay.
Yep. Good. Okay, so not started stuff here. So don't need to worry about it. Okay.
Or maybe it has to do with something. Like when certain things are met, the deploy screws up the member pages, but sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. Because I think I have a half a memory that we have tested it before and then it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for sure it needs to be, we need to figure that out.
So do you feel comfortable with going ahead and pushing current changes to production now,
Yes.
Susanna? We don't have any big
I'm
thing
just
here
gonna
that we need to
page
review.
so I don't have to write it all again.
Yeah, before you do,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
let's log in and back up those files.
I was just gonna copy it.
Or, yeah, well, whatever works.
Just copy
Oh
the
my
whole
god,
directory
my
structure.
stomach is grumbling. This was the biggest change, so I just copy it. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Let it rip, huh?
Not the poly today.
You know what?
That's an internal joke.
Inside joke.
Yeah, that.
So you're working on that.
Poly. The polling.
So all the stuff in, if I'm reading this correctly, our git ignores everything in CKEditor assets under public, which is where all of those things should be.
Well, git ignore is different than necessarily what happens with deploying.
So we may be dragging some other stuff aside from just git contain stuff.
Hold
Oh,
on,
actually, no, I take that back.
let me get my brain in that.
Let me get my brain back. Let me get in the Wayback Machine and go back
Right.
to where we were when we.
If you look at config
Um,
deploy.
no, I think it was. Well, it's the pages control.
CK, the public. Yeah, the linked directories are in shared, so that's good.
There are.
I wasn't looking at you.
Where are the,
Yep, it went back.
Okay, so
Okay, so under public CKEditor assets, we also have the member pages. So they're all under one place at least. We can look there.
yeah, okay, so I'll look at that, the Capistrano stuff about why are they being smashed.
So we regressed, huh? On just this one still is okay?
Well,
Which one is not good?
I pasted it just now and saved it. You can check remiss, for example.
Oh, remiss. Okay. Yep, it reverted. Okay. Anything else got clobbered?
Yes, all of them, but it's no biggie.
All of them got
well,
clobbered?
that's a biggie. It shouldn't be happening. So, okay, so that
It was expected, so that's why it's no biggie.
right, we can handle it, right? So, okay, there's a bug in.
Some of them are okay, which tells me that some of them are okay in our development.
No, they're not okay. You see,
not...
Caro is spelled in American English, for example.
Where? In this one?
Caroline.
Caroline.
Two. I mean, I didn't do that. I fixed that.
Got it. Okay. Yep. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Good.
Yep.
That one I didn't change.
So maybe we have that correct on our side. So.
Yeah. No, I did change that because it says SHF.
So
I removed all SHF.
Oh, you did. So it's on our Roku side that's being pulled from, right?
It's the develop. Whatever's in develop, it takes and pushes to production.
Develop branch from our Heroku side. Is that right, Ashley?
From GitHub.
Develop Heroku is the same.
Well, it must be more than GitHub because these are not in Git, right? They're not in GitHub. Unless my git ignore is lying to us.
Well, maybe they got put in
accidentally
there first, and then later we did the git ignore, so they're still in there.
That would explain
Hmm.
why.
That,
Maybe.
right.
Check it.
Well, let's
Check it,
check it
check
out.
I bet. Let's see. Do a race. I think you're going to win. I think you're already there. Yeah, we can do
No, no,
Yeah.
no CK editor assets here. Because it'd be under public CK editor assets. So they're not coming from there. Not coming from GitHub anyway. Are you sure we're not pulling from Heroku, our staging environment, when we push to DigitalOcean?
I didn't think we could store those, but let's see.
Hmm.
Good thought. Okay,
Well, it would be easy to check, just to edit the page there and then make another deploy and see what happens.
yeah, and I can also deploy to my, part of what I've been doing in testing the Capistrano stuff is deploying to my own DigitalOcean droplet.
Mm-hmm.
So
I hear you have to wait forever for Heroku to wake up with this free tier that we're on.
free, goodness gracious, people doing stuff, not expecting us to put food on their table.
I know. These guys have to make a living. I have to keep reminding myself of that. So
I know. Right. Hungry children at the table.
exactly. Come on, there you go. Now we can, let's go look at this.
So many.
Oops.
Oops, we don't like to hear that.
Well, so somebody hiccuped. So let's look at remiss. You know, that one's broken. That's broken here. What else is broken? Big time. It was Mendel's Bebezep. That's broken.
Membership something.
Icons are gone. The images are gone. Yeah, I think this is coming from, or it looks like it might be coming from Heroku. But I don't know how the Capistrano is.
I'll just edit the remiss and change the headline to remiss from Heroku.
That's a good test.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's see. Yaxtrad. There's SHF, so I know that's not good. Right? Well, in any case, yeah, we're going to have to
Figure this out. All right.
Because it would be detrimental to work on them really hard and then just to deploy later, it's all gone.
Getting them right.
Or God forbid you create a new member page and we come across and erase that.
Yeah.
Recognize it, yeah.
I'm gonna make a new one, so I'm just gonna ask you how to do that later.
So which page
we
are you
have to
putting
fix this first.
on Heroku? Which page are you working with on Heroku? Remiss?
Oh, I edited the remiss.
Okay. Did you push it yet? Come on, come on.
Yes, I saved.
Oh, you did?
But I didn't deploy yet. I'm gonna deploy now.
Some people are so impatient, huh?
I added the historiska document as well, just to have to.
Okay, cool.
But
are you there yet? Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No.
Daddy, are we there yet?
CK editor assets.
Yep.
I find it on number 14. Number 14 of deploy symlink linked DIRs.
Yeah, see, I think that's some Capistrano.
But where are they? Okay, it's deployed.
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Nope. Doesn't look like it came through. Not Heroku.
No, I didn't think so.
So where's it coming from?
Okay, so
Locally, is it coming from? It was broken locally on my machine. Well, unless GitHub is hiding it somewhere we can't find it.
Well,
I don't know where it might be.
well, yeah. I want to look at it because what is Capistrano updating, not updating, touching, not touching?
Yeah.
That's where I think it is.
Not a trivial question, I'm sure. Or it's somehow recovering an old version of that as it.
Well,
doesn't it move stuff out, update the code, and move stuff back in to reassemble the production?
No, it just says that these directories. There's a directory called shared, and it's symbolically linked, and so that's. Yeah,
and it doesn't touch those, huh?
Right. Between releases, it doesn't change those.
I see.
So I wonder if. Yeah. So that's what we need to look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I can look at that. Because I've been heavy into learning Capistrano and stuff.
Cool.
Trying to figure out this other thing. Yeah.
I think you're the only person who knows how it works, Ashley. So.
With all the backups and things. Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll sign myself that.
I'm glad you pointed that out, Susanna. That's dangerous. Right. Especially if somebody went to a lot of trouble to add a lot of content and we clobber it. That would not make for a good client relationship.
Somebody just update that. Okay, so what else in Pivotal Tracker?
I think we went through it all. Or anything we need to?
So we're working on the mail stuff. You're in the addresses stuff. I need to do the Capistrano things. Okay, I think we all have plenty to work on.
Yeah, and the radio button, it's bothering me. I think I might have thought of it at one point and I rejected it because I thought it'd be difficult to figure out which thing well, anyway.
Well, if you can handle it with checkboxes. I have every.
Well, if I can do it, make it work with radio boxes, it probably would be simpler. From the UI point of view, it updates immediately, so the user sees that. Still have to do all the work on the controller to swap things around, but that's.
I mean, that's the correct user interface component to use. That sends the right message to the user, and whether it actually.
Yes, you're right about that.
So, but I can understand that behind the scenes they're not actually grouped. But you're actually doing that manually. But you're doing that manually with checkboxes right now anyway, so.
Well, with the checkbox, I think the only reason I have a JavaScript callback at this point is so I can uncheck the address that used to be the mailing address.
Right.
And if I may get lucky and not have to do any JavaScript callback if I use RadioBox. I'll have to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We know you can do it. So then we'll get the mailing stuff will be theoretically
ready to go.
Ready to go, and we'll be able to then get those implemented and working pretty easily, I think. I think it'll be easy for anybody to come in and work on those. I mean, there's cleanup work to be done on the CSS, but that's separate.
Yeah, mail is trivial once you get it set up.
Right, anything is trivial once you get it set up. Anything is easy once you know how to do it. But
once you've established the foundation that you did. So I was just going to say, at some point, and I don't think we need to think about this now, but if we were doing a lot of emailing, we probably have to do some kind of delayed background emailing.
Right. So
using Sidekick or something, but
that's delayed job, and that should be really easy if that's needed.
That is pretty easy to tack on. Yeah,
right. It's
not something you have to bake into your architecture now by any means.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought about that too, particularly since we're using mail at any rate. But then the next conceptual thing will be with payments.
Can you just correct?
Yeah.
Refresh my memory. We're using the RESTful API with Melvin, right? Not SMTP.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So when a
Okay.
mail is delivered, instead of the delivery mechanism, I think it's actually called delivery method, literally in the code, instead of using SMTP, it's the mailgun delivery method. And so that method will do what it needs to be done and send off that.
Yep. Yep. So we're using the API,
Mm-hmm.
yep, which is probably faster than SMTP too. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
putting stuff on open source. So, but moving forward, you've got you'll be exploring the HIPS code and how that can work. And then conceptually, we can think about, we have the membership application state, whether that's been approved and all of that. Then we'll also have the payment state, which we'll get from EPS, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And then, so whether a member is accepted will be the combination of those two things. Is the application complete and approved, and is the payment
Yeah.
good?
I think you're right on. It's going to be complex. So our challenge would be to carve out small pieces we can advance with without trying to boil the ocean in one epic effort.
What?
Well, maybe we'll see the PR for the multiple addresses. I think I'm going to be rivaling you on a number of files touched, unfortunately. Yeah. It's gotten to be really big. The other thing that I worry about, and I don't know if it's so we've uncovered these refactoring issues one after the other. We had first name, last name in a membership application for God knows what reason. We put it in user. We've treated address as a captive attribute of company. We've wrenched it loose. We've made multiple addresses. We've prepared ourselves for members to have addresses as well. What other fundamental restructuring are we going to face? I wish we had done an ERD, entity diagram of our database, because I always find that really useful to get a big picture so we can look at it and discover these kinds of things beforehand. That would have helped us, I think.
Well, and also just, you know, sliding from kind of a prototype frame of mind into production, and then not to beat a dead horse repeatedly, but then also the approach that, oh, we should only model things that the user explicitly tells us, versus
that old nonsense.
A lot of us have lots of experience with systems, and so we know how that's not necessarily the user's responsibility. So,
well, not even that, but just to look. I remember those comments on Slack about, oh no, you don't need to fill out your model now and review that. Let that model grow organically as you come up with certain. Let's shaking my head. That's going to bite us, and sure enough, it did.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah, I think we can look at the models and review, because I think, particularly as we separate out the membership application, yeah, I'm for that. What are your thoughts, Susanna?
It seems also on deploy the first name of admin is removed.
Changed. Huh.
I saw that. There was no first name there. Can you add that back and see if it retains? It's retained.
And I saw a translation I missed somewhere, somehow.
There's no first name nor last name for the admin on our production machine.
I have assigned myself that, and I think I'm going to move it up the...
Which one, Ashley?
Well, the pivotal tracker, the bug I just put in about deploy is clobbering the membership files.
And the SHF admin data.
Admin first name. So if you see anything else, you can you can make a comment in that bug in pivotal tracker.
Okay.
So Patrick, I'll make it sure.
Good.
Review models Or
It's on you and I to it right away, in fact.
we just want to have some fun. We need to avoid real work.
So I'm tired of chipping out set concrete and relaying the foundation. But it happens, right? It happens. But I think some of those old practices like, hey, let's do a database design and review the ERD and see if it all makes sense. I think some of those old practices are thrown away because they're not, quote, agile, unquote.
Yeah, well, in some agile people, I've never thrown them away, right?
Yeah, me neither.
And I just like to say model diagram because saving it in your persistence layer is separate. But I understand what you're saying.
ERD, there's a gazillion tools to support that. That's why I say that.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
well, what I do is do an ERD and then I annotate it with little text bubbles around it saying, put in all the model associations in there, like has many, all that stuff. So it kind of blends the two together.
Well, yeah, and I know that Railroady will do some of that, and Ruby Mine will do those diagrams, and yeah, and because I worked with the state church, I'm pretty familiar with those tools. Yeah.
We did them in Pony, I think.
But it's, can you post a link to Slack? A link in Slack at some point? I'm not familiar with that.
Yep.
Okay, and let's assign it, Patrick. Okay.
Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to show you, Ashley. Just real quickly.
Yeah.
Because I know you will comment on it. You'll see it. And I did not mean that the way it sounded.
Uh-huh.
You will notice it, is what I'm saying. So
might as well get the paint over now. Is that what you're saying?
I might as well take the beating it right now, but anyway. So you'll see a bunch of
routes that I've created here. Yeah.
For addresses as
Company.
a nested resource to a company.
Yeah.
Right. So you can, of course, typically do something like this. You know, you could do the resources company and then underneath. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Right.
Right.
But you can't. But I found that breaks if you have the path qualifier, which of course we do, right? So when we put in the path qualifier, it totally ignores the nested resource. It doesn't do anything with it. I tried to put path qualifier under the nested. I tried all kinds of combinations, and so I said, screw it. I'm just going to create these routes that I need individually.
Right.
And you'll look at them and say, well, that's a nested resource pattern. Why didn't you do? And that's why.
So I would just say put a comment in there, and
okay.
Then, you know, these are like this because it didn't seem possible to nest, to nest these nicely. And then somebody coming along after might take up that challenge. And then it will keep people like me from saying, why in the world didn't you refactor these?
What's the matter with you? Yeah.
What were you thinking? What weren't you? Okay.
I'll put a comment in there.
Yeah.
By the way, I think I love comments. I noticed you put really useful comments in there too. So
well,
I for that very reason.
Yeah.
And if I have to do any substantial research in the internet to find out why I'm doing something, I always put a comment in there. Why should some poor slob following me have to do the exact same path that I went down? Right,
exactly. Comments are right. More people read your code than will ever write it, and your audience is developers who are less experienced than you.
Yeah, we should talk about that when we have more of the team together too, because I think sometimes people learn from other people that comments are bad, and you have to put comments in your code. Your code is not readable.
Code is not self-documenting.
Exactly. right?
Spoken
It's
language
not always.
documenting. So why should? Yes, I have strong feelings and give talks and write papers. And,
Yep.
but yeah, that would be fine. You could do. You could put that on the agenda at some point. You've updated all the pages.
All right, I think we've covered anything, Susanna, you discovered while we were talking here? Anything else?
Some stuff, but yeah, so that's definitely.
You're actually going to get to the bottom of it.
That's right. Blame me. Great.
All right, well, take care, everybody. We'll talk Thursday, I guess.
Good meeting. Yeah, your address stuff looks really nice. I don't know if I said that, but it does. Looks really nice, Patrick. Good work.
Thank you. I think visually our system's shaping up pretty nicely, or it already is, actually, but getting better and better. Okay, talk later.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Anna.
Bye.
Bye.